Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about why some people do not act like their sun sign or resonate with their sun sign. Now, anyway, let me get started on this. Well, for one thing, in a lot of cases, okay, we look and people will say, well, they're confounded. They say, well, I don't fit my sun sign description. What's going on? Why is this? Sometimes it's due to superficial knowledge of astrology, and it's about getting to understand their whole chart. And really, once they do that, you can get a better conception of this. Most of you that watch my videos, I'm sure, have a fairly extensive knowledge of astrology and do understand that there is a lot more to astrology than just your sun sign, that you have your moon sign and ascendant. But let me get in among other reasons why you might not always resonate with your sun sign. So let me start as far as some reasons. Well, for one thing, the sun sign may be weak by sign, and I'm not saying weakness in character or weak personality, but based on the position, like say the sun is in its detriment in Aquarius and it's in its fall in Libra. That energy might not be expressed as strong as, say, sun in Aries or sun in Leo, because the sun in Leo is in its dignity, sun in Aries, it's in its exaltation. Now, you could also have your sun, say, in accidental detriment, which would be the 11th house, or you could have your sun in accidental fall, which would be the 7th. Now, also, when your sun sign is placed in a house that is a cadent house, say if it's in the 3rd, 6th, 9th, or 12th, and I think especially 12th, the energy of the sun may not be expressed as strongly as opposed to it being in an angular house. Angular houses are, of course, the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th. And in the 12th house especially, I think the energy of the sun could be very dissipated. Now, the different ascendant, of course, okay, you figure like 1 in 12 people are going to have a different rising sign or ascendant than their sun sign. And I do believe strongly that people resonate a lot more with their ascendant than they do their sun sign. The ascendant is that outer demeanor, that outer projection of self. It's those qualities that are more readily expressed. And even though it's considered your astrological mask or facade, but those characteristics will often come out strongly more outwardly as opposed to your sun sign. In a lot of cases, your sun sign will be shown more among people that you feel more comfortable with. So anyway, also, let's say you have your moon sign placed strongly. Let's say you have the moon in Cancer, which of course it's in its dignity, the moon in Taurus, its exaltation, and if your sun sign isn't strong by, say, sign and or house, well, that moon sign might come out a little bit stronger than the sun sign. And even many of you may remember I made that video about the mystery of the moon in Gemini. Now, the moon in Gemini, of course, it's not in its dignity or exaltation. However, I think the moon in Gemini can come out pretty strong in people, and for reasons which I described in that video. And I think if you have to say your moon is in Gemini, and if your sun is not placed strong, whether it's by sign or house or both, then you might have that moon in Gemini will be coming out a little bit stronger than say, the sun sign. Now, also, another reason why people might not feel like they relate or resonate with their sun sign that strongly is if their sun sign is intercepted. And even if you have it intercepted and in a cadent house on top of that, then it could very strongly diminish the energy. However, sun sign that's intercepted can have some distortion and vacillation of energy as well. I mean, you could have long periods where that sun energy isn't coming out, but at the same time, it can come out stronger in other periods, but it could be inconsistent energy. So you could have protracted periods where that energy of that sun may not be coming out very strong. Now, Another reason is that, okay, I talked about having a different ascendant. Now, a lot of times, like let's say you have a very dominant, powerful ascendant like Scorpio. Now, Scorpio is the kind of ascendant I think that can very strongly put a lot of energy in the chart and work very strongly as far as dominating that personality and of the person. And I mean, my grandmother, God rest her soul, she had her sun in Leo, which was in dignity by sign, and she even had, if I'm not mistaken, she had a preponderance of planets that were above the horizon, which would suggest more extroversion than introversion. However, she was very introverted, very quiet. Her demeanor was very reticent. She really did not talk a lot to people, really wasn't very outgoing with people she didn't know, especially. And I think that Scorpio ascendant was really strong, really factored in very exceptionally strong in her personality. And I think even more so as Scorpio rising will factor in strongly with that outer demeanor, which is the ascendant. Of course, it'll factor in more strongly than the other ascendants, I do believe, on average. And I think a lot of times that Scorpio rising can really change the complexion of the chart to some degree because I think because it is such a powerful and dominant sign, and you are talking about that projection of self, the outer demeanor, that side that is so readily expressed. So another thing is that if you have Saturn conjunct your sun in your natal chart, I think this could inhibit and restrict the energy of the sun as well. So that is another thing to look at. Now also, if you are on the cusp of a sign, say your sun sign is in late Taurus, and let's say between 25 and 29 degrees Taurus, well, you might be like, as far as Taurus, as you still could have a lot of that strong Taurus characteristics. You could still be very methodical and deliberate in what you do. However, you might be more strongly connected with intellectual stimulation, more loquacious than your typical Taurus, and more versatile and more open to doing different things. And you might be a little more quick-witted than the typical Taurus if you are born in a late Taurus degree, as I stated, be like, say, between 25 and 29 degrees, because you might have a little bit of a Gemini nuance mixed in there. So, and another thing is, let's say your progressed sun has moved into a different sign. Let's say that your progressed sun has gone from Cancer to Leo. Well, you still may express and exhibit a lot of Sun and Cancer characteristics and traits, but you might have a little more blending with Leo and be more extroverted, more gregarious, more magnanimous than you were, more attention-seeking than prior to your Sun progressing into Leo. So, and another thing too is the final or chart signature can be taken into consideration as well. As I've stated in a number of other videos before, is that I don't believe the final signature or chart signature supersedes your sun sign in its significance and importance, its impact on the natal chart. However, it still can blend in a little bit, and it might, your sun sign may be flavored a little bit, I think, by whatever that final signature is. Somebody with a Leo sun, for example, has a Pisces, say they had a Pisces chart signature, they might mellow that Leo sun out a little, because the chart signature is supposed to represent that overall tone or feel of the chart. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for why some people do not act like their sun sign. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.